Hello again, this is UML Operator. All right, welcome back in this session, part 3 of 3 on solution approach, which are part of the multi-part series or playlist on model-driven anything. So today we're going to talk about reporting and analytics as part of our delivery exercise as a solution architect. We're going to go through preparing for RNA or reporting and analytics. We're going to give some tips and tricks on what to do to get started. I've done a couple of short videos prior to this to help prepare and reflect on as I'm going through this subject. I have to warn you, this is going to be a long video. We'll have chapters down below, so use those to get to the areas that you're interested in. We tried to make this video as short as possible. We broke out a lot of the various areas into extra and learning videos that are quite a bit shorter. So I'll include the links to those as we proceed, and there'll be following links because this video is going to be almost an hour long. And I hope that you'll bear with me as we're going through this and provide any feedback and comments, questions, and concerns that you have as we proceed. But before we get started, for those of you that are just joining, please watch the previous episodes leading up to this, but this is our fictitious project, Ourco KMS project for release 1. Ourco is our fictitious company. KMS stands for Knowledge Management System. This is the project landing page. This instance is deployed in a SQL environment the team can access either via SQL Direct or through Sparx Pro Cloud. So these are navigation cells. Our focus is on solution approach, and let's go ahead and drill into it. So far, we have started solution analysis. We've brought in our building blocks that we're currently using. We have, let me close this, building out tag values. We're going to talk about this. Very important to reporting and analytics. So we're going to talk about that. And we will get into scope to solution. We're currently working in business requirements. We're going through functional requirements. I can just click on this in a navigation cell to see where we are on each one of these as we are progressing. So let me close this one. Today, we're talking about solution documents, the artifact repository. I posted a previous video on legends. We're going to be using legends quite a bit within our modeling, our reporting, our presentations, most importantly, our collaborations. So we have other things that we're going to be building out that are dealing with the architecture stack and other things that we have to report on. At this point, we assume that solutioning is proceeding well, yet not done or complete, and maybe in constant iteration as we're moving through the various delivery life cycles. Next, we're going to talk about preparing reporting and analytics, and I'm just going to start saying RNA in a 5-step process, just what I go through in order to prepare for RNA as we're delivering a solution, which is solving the problems, the requirements necessary for delivery. And I want to stop for a second to make sure that we all understand what iteration means. Working through the delivery lifecycle in an iterative manner. So as we're looking at requirements, doing requirements engineering, and we're moving through the delivery life cycles, it's very important not to wait, never wait to do design or create artifacts, reporting and analytic artifacts or charts or anything like that, and ensure the artifacts or the reports have a unique name following the team's naming conventions and versioning accordingly. Reporting and analytics, and again, I'm just going to say RA or RNA, is required to answer questions. And questions start at the beginning of any effort. So in preparing for RNA, there's a 5-step process. So step 1 is cleaning up your diagrams that are going to be used. For example, let's go into requirements. Let's look at the business requirements, making sure the diagrams have what you want to report on in them and how you want to report on them. All right, business requirements, functional requirements. We get into solution approach. We get into the solution building blocks, making sure the diagrams are clean and ready to report on. All right, so that's the first step. Let's go ahead and close the other diagrams. I'm going to right click in here and click on close all except main cover page. So we just have the main cover page. So steps 2 is ensuring that your navigation from the top down from the main page, this is the main landing page everyone lands on when they launch the project, makes it easy for the stakeholders to navigate. So let's say the stakeholder is interested in requirements management. They can click on it, they can go in, and they can very quickly navigate to the subjects that they want to get to very quickly and go back to the main cover page as quickly as possible. Here's a quick tip, and it's an important tip. So you see the header up here across the top. These are located within the main folder. So I can hit Alt-G and I can go to where these header elements are, right? And I want to make sure that when we're looking at the headers that we're going to use across a report, that they're consistent. So this header here is actually reusing the same elements, going right back to the same elements as we're doing reporting. So as we're moving through, you can see we're reusing part or some or all of the header elements that are there. So I go into solution, I'm using all of them. And you're reusing your header elements, your graphics, your text. You can always add in additional text, like this is the solution approach landing page for readers to understand they're on the solution approach landing page if they're not looking at the tab across the top. So very quick tip, very important as far as we're getting started as part of step 2. Step 3 is to check your folder structure, your hierarchy. And you can see that this is as the main is the first package within the main project package. You have project management, requirements management, discussions or collaboration, whatever you want to name that area, solution approach, design, test management, and there may be more. A lot of times users they'll move packages around and they need to be fixed. Another problem that may occur is that the solution architect, if we come up to discussions where we have a document repository, very soon I, as the solution architect, will move this to the document repository. We'll talk more about the artifact or document repository a bit later. And you want to find particular packages. You want to follow the package structure that the team is using. Now, in this case, we're in solution approach. And when I'm building this out, I like to have all of my models, my namespaces, my packages within my namespace, solution approach in this case. And later on, I'm going to move them. The navigation cell will still get to the package regardless of where it's dropped. I've seen sometimes that modelers will accidentally drop it into the wrong package and then they lose it. Well, there's a couple of ways to recover from that. Let's talk about that next. Let's say you're the project manager or the solution architect in this use case, and you're coming in here going, wait a minute, I have analysis and scope analysis, but where did my documents go? Well, the project manager may have moved them for you. I probably would get angry and say, don't touch my models. I would go to it, and if I right click in here, find in browser, I'll see that, oh, this has been accidentally or on purpose moved to the requirements management namespace. And so what I would do is I would simply drag and drop it, move it back to where I want it until I'm ready to locate my artifact repository, my document repo, into the desired namespace for all reporting and analytics for the entire project. So that's how you fix that problem. Step 4 is to clean up unnecessary baselines, right? As I've talked about, we'll create baselines anytime we want. These are snapshots. I'm going on a lunch break. A large team is working on the effort. I want to, maybe I didn't lock everything down. I want to see what changed in a period of time I was away, right? But I don't need to keep that baseline. So in this particular case, you see we have starting solution approach, we have a baseline. Starting solution analysis, we have a baseline. Continued solution approach, well, we came back and we'll determine later whether we want to keep this baseline or not. But we see timestamp in here saying, well, from this date to this date, there is a change that I want to see. I'm able to show differences on this and say, well, what has changed between now and that particular baseline? And I'm able to go through and look at those changes and find out, right? So clean up unnecessary baselines. It's kind of important along with versioning when you're doing reporting to make sure that your baselines and your versioning is correct prior to at least formal reports. You're going to do ad hoc periodic reports for a particular presentation or collaboration, and you're just doing a quick report for folks to read prior to that session and other matters. But make sure that you're cleaning up unnecessary baselines and your versioning is accurate. Also, another quick tip here. So we're maintaining baselines at the top of a particular primary namespace, in this case, solution approach. But as I've stated before, you can baseline at any package. Like you're working on solution analysis, you can create a new baseline at any time. It's kind of a good idea, and I say kind of because I'm going to leave that up to you, but it's a best practice, in my opinion, to only baseline at the parent package. So this would be for the solution architect, the parent package. For the project manager, this would be a parent package. For the entire project, this would be a parent package. So this is the most important baseline, but you're going to have lots of baselines that are taking place down below. You'll have people restoring back to previous baselines and a lot of activity within baselining of folders, packages as you're doing delivery. Some of these can create conflicts, corruption, and other issues. So it's very important that you have baselines, that you're periodically, if you have reusable asset service, importing and versioning to RAS so that you recover from any potential problems that may occur. They're very rare, but I use Sparx a lot, and probably 1 out of 100 times something will happen, all right? And I need to have the ability to fall back on. So baseline at the top package, level 1, no further than level 2, all right? So the root is level 0. This is level 1. This is level 2. Anything under it is beyond level 3 and so on. You can certainly have as many packages and namespaces as you wish, but make sure that you're baselining, and when you're done, especially reporting, analytics, other data mining, at level 1 and level 2 only. So that was step 4. Step 5 is check versioning number or version numbering. All right, very important. So we're going through, let's just go ahead and look at this. So this model was created for a presentation, right? I'm going into it, it's at version 01, right? But I know it should be 02 because we added in a legend. So if I take the legend out, this is what 01 looked like, right? So if I find this in the browser by right-clicking and going right to it, I could create a baseline here. And then as I'm making changes, bringing back in, let's say, for instance, the legend, which we'll do later on, I want to change this to version 02 or the next increment, right? So, but I want to check the versioning. But is the diagram version most important in this conversation, or is the package version? I talk about versioning in another session, but as I'm creating a version to an audience, I'm going to say, hey, this is the final version. So this is 1.0, right? It was a major release. And that's the naming convention, the numbering convention that I'm using, all right? So step 5, check version numbering of all of your packages and your diagrams, all right? Even your elements, all right? Very important. When we're going into requirements, and if we go into business requirements, we come into this requirements, it's at version 01. It is still proposed. Now, as soon as this moves to approved or validated or another status, it should be incremented to 02, following your convention, but make sure that you're checking as you're making changes that you're versioning when you feel a version is correct. Someone might come in here and go, all right, this is validated, right? And they may come in and change this to 2. Someone might come back in, the project manager, the requirements engineer, even the solution architect that has the role to manage versioning. They may come in and go, wait a minute, it's not validated. It's still proposed. And so I'm going to move this back to 01, where it should be at a proposed state. All right. So there's other things we'll talk about here in a moment, like tag values and versioning when even tag values, not just your main metadata changes, when to do versions. So let's go all the way back to the main cover page. Right click in here, close all except to clean everything up. And let's get into getting into intelligence. The purpose of reporting is to answer for the stakeholders their questions on the subject matter, whatever the subject matter is in the report, the Word document, the artifact, the web report, the chart, if you will, in a dashboard, that you're answering those questions. And analytics are the answers to questions, all right? So it's very important that you are reporting first on the key performance indicators, the KPIs. You're reporting on the progress, the status of what you're working on. This is what all the stakeholders are interested in. And there's certainly many other things, many other questions that are going to be asked that you need to report on. So let's go to solution approach, and let's go to, I'm going to bring up the building block diagram. And I want to talk about tag values. So you can see all of the elements here have tag values. And I talk about tag values in a previous episode, matter of fact, many episodes, where when we're looking at an element and we go to tags, you can see that whoever owns this element has added some tags and made some assumptions that everyone would need to, and when I say everyone, the stakeholders need to agree on as we're going forward. So they put in some analytics, some metadata in here to extend UML and this particular element. So let's go to legends, and you can see the solution architect started a legends repository. Now this is going to move, the entire reporting is going to move to a primary reporting repository namespace folder. So in this case, we have these predefined legends that have explanation on what each one of them represents. So when the stakeholders select a legend, they can understand what the legend represents. So when we go into, let's say, for instance, this model, and we bring over an impact legend, I'm just going to drag and drop it over here. You can see that this legend has been configured to apply coloring based off of certain aspects of, in this case, connectors only. You can see these lines represent connectors. and they have configured the filter around a specific tag value. In this case, impact. So you can see impact is added. Let me go ahead and cancel this out. Impact is added as a tag value and shows up for the particular element. So let's go into this one, which represents test support between load balancer and service exchange. So when we go into this, you can add tag values even at the association level. So impact, test support. That's the assumption at this particular point in this report, in this collaboration, in this conversation. And I can certainly bring in, let's say, effort legend. I'm going to drag this one just anywhere in the model. It's looking at effort associations. Now that's going to conflict with this line legend. So I want to take this one out. Let's look at level of effort. Drag and drop this one in. Now this one, you can see by the boxes in the legend, represents elements that are in here. And these colors represent what we're reporting on. So we're stating that load balancer is test and service exchange is development. It's easy development, but it's development. So if this is development, why is this test support? Well, the team believes that, well, the development is taking place in service exchange. The load balancers are already configured. So all we're doing is making some configuration changes, and we're just going to support the test of any changes that take place in the service layer. So you're able to have very important conversations with users using legends, and you can include these in any of your reports. Let's go ahead and close this diagram. No, I don't need to save it. Right, back to the legend menu. I'll go ahead and keep that up. And let's look at requirements. So let's go over here. We're going to drill down to business requirements. And you can see here that while this diagram, and picture speaks 1,000 words, you can either include this in your reports or not. How you can exclude them is you just simply double click in the white space, bring up diagrams, document generation options, exclude. Now, this won't show in a report, but any changes that we make will show in the diagram. So let's say we're having a conversation with a group and we're using the modeling tool within the conference call or whatever the session is. So what we're going to do here is we're going to bring in some legends. Let's first bring in the effort legend, and we drag it in. No changes. Let's bring in the impact legend. No changes. Level of effort legend. No changes. Scaled factors. No changes. Stage. Now we're seeing changes, right? So let's go ahead and take these out, just making a point. And let's say we're creating a report and having a conversation. All of these requirements are in what stage in the delivery? They're in the solution stage. So how do I know that? Well, if I select a particular element and I can go to, if I go to properties, I can go to tags, I can see there is a stage tag in solution. And as soon as this is ready, it's done, the solution architect is ready and the project manager agrees, I can move this to design. Immediately the requirement and people visualizing this artifact can say, oh, there are 4 that are still being solution and 1 is ready to design. So we're working in iteration. The development team or the application architect that's working on design with the solution architect, solution design, comes in and says, hey, I see that you're done with requirement 1. They can open it up, read any notes that are taking place. They can right click on it, have any discussions that they want, collaborate, discuss, review, journal entry. They may even just want to chat with somebody on the element. Are we ready to move to design on this? And can start working on design on this requirement immediately in iteration. They get into design, there's a problem or an issue. Someone might come in and go, well, this is not ready for design. They can either come in here to tag values here, or they can do it over in properties and say, I'm going to kick this back to solution. And now this is back to solution. So you're able to report on the stage within the delivery lifecycle any element is in. And this applies to block diagrams or any element that is being worked on in the delivery lifecycle. Let's go ahead and save this. Close. Yeah, I'll come back to this one in a moment. I want to keep legends up here. Solutioning. I don't need that open right now. Scope to solution. So let's go into requirements. So in this particular case, the solution architect is using the level of effort legend as well as scaled factors legend on realization, which is kind of interesting here. So when we're going through and we're doing solution analysis, and we can move in between specific views, specification view, let's go ahead and save. So we're in a specification view. The solution architect may be making notes, altering, adding to, managing requirements as they're going forward. Let's go back. They can come in and they can look at, in another view, the relationship matrix, and we're just going to limit connection to elements. And I talk about these views in a previous video. In this case, it very quickly puts the requirements at the top and the sources, the applications on the left, shows the realization. So here I can move forward, and if I put this on tag values, tags, I'm able to see that these have effort references that are in here that become kind of important in a matrix overview. Let's look at that next. Go ahead and keep this view up. Let's go over to requirements management. Let's go into business requirements. So this is the diagram that's in the under business requirements in the requirements management namespace, right? And in the solution, so let's go back. These are the same requirements, the same GUID that's being used. So these are the same elements being reported one way. We'll come back to that matrix in a moment versus looking at it this way. So let's go into this matrix, all right? So when I go into it, I can see that, all right, I have these requirements that are here and these applications. And I'm saying that this application is realizing all of these requirements. Chat is realizing 4 out of the 5 requirements. Machine learning and AI, 2 of the requirements. But we have something available to us called overlays. So overlays are right here, and let's look what options we have. Hit the down arrows. So I have CRUD, create, read, update, delete, not applicable. Effort. You see here the letters from the tag values are showing up saying that the machine learning is realizing this requirement, and we believe that the work is easy, right? Let's look at some other ones. Impact, right? Only one has been changed. If there aren't any overlay elements, it will always go to the association or realization. And we're using realization as the link type here, right? Let's look at another one, scaled factors. 2 have been impacted. And I'll talk about scaled factors in another video, but we have various overlays that are available to us that we can use to help readers very quickly understand the level of effort between applications in the solution to the requirements. Now let's go ahead and close this. There we go. I don't need this anymore. Go ahead and close it. So you look here, solution artifacts, business requirements analysis. Let's double click this one. It's the same matrix, right? I can go to over effort. It's the same matrix used. It's just used in 2 different diagrams from 2 different perspectives. All right, let's go ahead and close this. Let's go to requirements again, double click and open it up. And I want to do report on business requirements. I know that there are functional requirements. Let me go ahead and close this. Go ahead and close this. I know they're functional requirements, right? These are being worked right now, right? So let's just look at business requirements. So I'm on the diagram, and you've learned this in this channel. I'm going to hit Function key 8, and I'm going to bring up the Generate Documentation, and it's on the Legend folder, right? I don't want it on the Legend folder. I want it on the Business Requirements folder. So I can change it here, or I could have gone back to the Business Requirements folder. You can see now it's on the right package. I could have right-clicked in here, found in the browser, then go here and hit Function key 8. And now I'm all focused on the right package, right? Let's go ahead and just Business Requirements, take the name and convention there. And our template is going to be canned out of Sparx requirement level detail. Let's go ahead and generate. So we're going to generate this report, and then we're going to view the report when it is completed and it is done. We're going to view it in Sparx. I could certainly go out to Microsoft Office and bring it up in Word. So now I have the requirements that are up here. I have the realization. So they're the incoming structural relationships for this requirement coming from various areas, whether it's an application or another. You can see your application load balancer 2, internet 2, e-commerce site 2, requirement 1. We're on requirement 1. So you have all of this data that is available for you using that particular template. But let's choose another template. So I'm back over on our diagram. I hit Function key 8. This time, let's choose a custom template the team developed for scope analysis. Let's go ahead and we're going to step on this document. So go ahead and hit Generate. Certainly give it a different name. And it is creating this. It is done. We're going to hit View. Now we see the report coming out. It has a lot more information and detail in it. So we've got requirement 1. We have the realization with some notes, more details that are here, right? Each requirement has its own separate break, and that's just the way that this is configured, right? So another report from another perspective with more detail. You notice that in this report, the diagram is not showing. That's because, remember, we turned it off, exclude from documentation. If I leave this on, the way that the report is configured, it would show up at every line break, and I don't necessarily want that, right? So let's go look at another one. So let's go ahead and close this one. We go ahead and close this one. Leave that up. I want to leave that up. And let's go to Solution Analysis, and let's go to the block diagram. Let's go to Legend. So I have Legend still up over here. Fine in the browser. I have some legend discussions here that are taking place. I want to look at level of effort, right? So drag and drop this in. There we go. Put it right over here. And let's see here, scaled factor, effort, impact. Let's bring over impact, all right? Now we want to run a specific report on the level of impact between the interactions between systems, as well as what we believe the application effort is going to be. So let me go ahead and hit Save. Let me right-click, find this diagram back again in the browser. So when I hit Function key 8, it's focused on the right namespace. Let's go ahead and use the default for the document. We're using Solution Analysis. I'm going to use Scope Analysis, which is a custom report. Matter of fact, I told you I was going to use Canned. So let's use Model Report. I'm going to select Generate, and it is running through this model, if you will, all of the elements and metadata that's there. And when it's done, we'll be ready to view it. Right? It's done. View. Now when we're looking at this, we have the diagram showing up in the report. It's a bit of an eye chart, but we can always size it. I don't think anybody's going to be looking at it in pay-per-view anyways. And you can see the solution assumptions that are taking place for each one of the building blocks, all right? Now, it's showing this diagram. I don't necessarily want that. I could come into this one and say, hey, this is model only. I don't want that to show up. So I'm going to exclude from reporting, and then I'm going to close this. All right. Let's go back and continue looking at this. So I see each one of the applications, the relevance, the relationships, the associations between those, what's going on with the requirements, what we're doing, what we believe needs to be done, the impact of the system, all the notes from the solution architect that are showing up, right? So you have outgoing structural relationships. So the model report has a lot of interesting elements in it that are being reported on. You can see it's quite a report, right? So that's the canned report that's in Sparx. Let's look at the custom solution analysis report next. Let's go ahead and close this. Back to building blocks. We're going to leave this one up. We're on the right package, namespace. We checked that before we hit function key 8. Brings up the dialog box. We're on the right package up here at the top. Go ahead and step on this. Instead of using the canned model report, we're going to use a custom report that we've developed for solution approach. So select that one. We're going to hit generate, step on the other report, and it is generating. The progress is showing down here as we're creating this report artifact. It is done. We're going to go into view. Now in this particular template, we've got a header, we've got the logo in here, we've got our diagram, and now we're looking at the applications, description of the application, impacts that the solution architect put on, and we've got tag values. There are no notes. Now I'd come back through after the first draft of the report, and I would explain why I believe this is an easy effort, while the impact is development, leverageability is invest, why each one of these tags as I'm going through. I have source to target, and I have notes, why I believe chat is realizing this requirement. And right over here, I have my tag values in the notes. That's just the way this template is formed all the way through. So this is a better report than the canned model report. I show you how to create your own custom templates in other videos. So that's creating the solution approach report. So we're back in the solution document cover page. It is locked by this lock up here. I'm going to right click in here, unlock it. No locks. There we go. I'll lock it later. I'm going to go down to documents. I'm going to bring in a model document element, drag and drop it in here and call it solution scope analysis, right? And I can call it anything I want. And I have this model document report that's here, right? Let me move this right here for now. I've talked about model document elements before, but this matter of fact, let me put it over here for this discussion, right? What I want to do here is I want to bring in my building block namespace, right? And I want to go up here to business requirements, and I want to bring in this package namespace here, right? Now I'm going to move it over here. So now I'm able to double click on this, open it up, give it a description, which I'll do later. I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to hit documentation, generate documentation. In this case here, I'm going to use scope analysis. I'm just going to choose this and make a point here, hopefully in a second. We're going to go ahead and step on the current model name, and we're going to hit generate. Go ahead now, generate. So what this is doing is it's going through both these namespaces and printing these report on both the building blocks, the solution document, as well as the business requirements. So it's complete. Let's go ahead and hit view. So in this case, I have the solution. Scroll all the way down. This is a big report. It's going down. Let me use the scroll bar to go faster. Down here. Wow, it's huge. It's huge. Right down to business requirements using the same template. So I'm getting the tag values and I'm getting the connectors to the requirements. So requirement 1. So I'm getting everything in one report as I'm coming forward. I'm going to go all the way back at the top. This is just on business requirements. So I can change the name of the report I can do all sorts of things, editing as far as completing this report. But let me give you a couple of tips. Let's go ahead and close this report. Right, let's find in browser, get back to the namespace very quickly in here. And the solution architect has a solution artifacts repository that's here. Let's go ahead and double click that. I'm going to talk about charts here at the end. Let's look at this one. It is blank. Now I'm going to use the other one. I'm going to use this one, right? So in this particular case, I'm going to create a folder in here called effort assessment. Yeah, let's call it that. So right click in here, solution effort assessment. All right. We're going to create a diagram in here. Doesn't matter. In this case, I'm going to use class, which I normally do. Double click. It is blank. All right. So I'm going to come back over to the building blocks. I'm going to copy, select everything, Alt, Control A, I'm selecting everything, Control C, go back over to our blank artifact, and I'm going to insert. Now when it came in, it has everything in it, and I don't want that. So I'm going to hit delete, double click in here, I've shown you this in previous videos. I want a clean, element empty view. Now I'm ready. I want to do one other thing. Double click again, go to diagram, disable fully scoped object names. All right. Now I'm going to hit shift and insert. Now the model comes in clean. All right. I'm going to leave these elements in here, and over in this other building block, I want these to be plain vanilla. Right. So everything is cleared out. Go back over here. Now we want to report on this particular diagram in this namespace, have a conversation. Let's check the results. Let's go back over to solution documents. This is where we created this model document element. Let's create another one. Model document element. Let's give it the same name, solution effort analysis, right? Now in this case, I want to bring this namespace in, find in browser, this namespace in, go back over here, drag and drop this over here, and then go back up to requirements. I'm just doing business requirements. When we're at a point where we want to do functional requirements, we will bring in this namespace. When we want to do non-functional requirements, we'll bring in then this namespace. And when we want to do all requirements for the project, we'll bring in this namespace. Right now, we're just doing business requirements, so drag and drop this one in. All right. Now, I'm going to select this, and again, I can right-click in here, go to documentation, or I can just select it and hit Function key 8. Right? It brings up the dialog box here. Right? We're going to not go with model report. We're going to go with solution approach because it has our tag values in it. Let's go ahead and hit generate. And it's running through, and it is done. Let's go ahead and hit view. We have our diagram. We have all of the intelligence underneath as requirements. There were no elements that are in the diagram that we just created a report on, right? So we go back over here. Now I have the solution diagram, and I have the report along with tag values and other information relevant. So I can have a conversation specifically to the solution effort on this model. So there's a difference in how you're reporting, what namespaces you're reporting on what shows up in your report, right? So very important distinction as you're going through whether you want to show everything in the report. And in this case, you know, when we're looking at building blocks, if we were to do a report at this level, do the same report, function key 8, we're going to use solution approach. We're going to go ahead and step on. So we're going to get to the right package, solution analysis, building blocks right here. Very good. And then I'm just going to edit this name here. Let's go ahead and generate. We're done. Let's hit view. And now we're looking at solution approach, and we have all of the data relevant to the applications, right? So I have, from this perspective, the team's looking at, well, this is the impact assessment on this block diagram, highlighted and telling a story using the legend on the business requirements only. All right, I warned you this is going to be a long video. This can be a complex subject. Hopefully I'm breaking it down where it's as easy as possible. I'm going to do more extra and more learning, shorter sessions on each one of these subjects. I've talked about model views. We're working on a model view right here. It is not done yet. We have a model view here on tasks, mining task data. You can see here from the task table, I've shown you how to understand the Sparx tables. There's almost 100 of them, and they do different things. So you can use model views, but I want to talk about dashboards really quickly. So this is a requirement status chart that we brought in here. That's basically, when I double click on it, it's using this custom SQL here, creating a 2D bar chart and letting us know, well, we have 34 proposed requirements we're still working on. Only 6 of them have been validated, right? And we've even created tag values to show, well, they've been solutioned. We'll do a separate chart in a separate episode later for that. We have applications by status. Out of the applications, we've got 3 of them that are already implemented. And there's no work that needs to be done, but they need to be tested. We have 1 that's mandatory. This could be for regulatory reasons, privacy reasons, etc. But it's, this application is mandatory. It has to go out and has to be impacted in some way in this project. We have 5 that are still proposed. We may use them, we may not use them. They're being proposed. And we have 3 that are validated. We're definitely using this technology, this application, this architecture. And so these charts become very important to the readers, whether you're doing these, including these in reports, custom reports, canned reports, and so on. You can see that we've got 40 requirements. None of them have been approved yet. So this brings up some flags, some KPIs that are essential to understanding the delivery at any moment in time in the delivery lifecycle. So this becomes a very important dashboard to I as an architect, because as the team is working on approving requirements, often I don't start solutioning until the requirements have either 1, been approved, or 2, at least been validated by the team. So a lot going on in this. You can see here that we have business requirements and functional requirements that are still in progress. It's very high priority. We've started at this date. We plan on ending at this date as we're going through the delivery. These dates can change by the team or the project manager at any point. So this dashboard, I check every day when I'm coming in. So where are we? And there'll be other charts that we bring in, other model views that we're creating as we're proceeding in this effort. All right, we're going to wrap up here. There is almost a dozen cards or links down below for you to watch in particular areas. I probably am going to create another dozen extra and learning sessions as part of this discussion. Let me know what questions you have, and I will try to create a video, short clip, to answer those questions on the subject that we talked about today, or any subject. But right now I'm focused on reporting and analytics as it pertains to solution approach and overall project delivery in this particular exercise. So we've got a little ways to go before we complete the playlist in this series on model-driven anything. We'll keep coming back to this because remember, we're working in iteration. So until that next episode, thanks very much for watching. Happy modeling.